Hey everybody, happy Friday. We made it through another week, and I am super excited to chat about a fascinating topic, AI ops, full stack monitoring. In a new world of IT ops is emerging, and we have an expert here. Trent, how are you?
I'm doing great, Evan. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's chilly here in Boston. You're in Austin, Texas, so a little warmer, I imagine.
Austin, Texas, and it's about 70 degrees right now.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Well, let's get back to the programming here. Maybe introduce yourself, Trent, and a little bit about the history of your work in the IT operations space.
Yeah, my name is Trent Fitz. I'm the Chief Product Officer for a company called Xenos Enterprise Software. I started out in technology. I don't even want to say how long ago, but when I was a senior in college, I actually did a microcontroller design project that was focused on building out AI capabilities. That this chip was, it was a Motorola microcontroller, and it was brand new AI capabilities at that time. That was 25 years ago. And
Nice.
since then I started in a technical career path. I got into product management and running product teams. That's been between cybersecurity as well as infrastructure and operations. Currently, it's focused on infrastructure and operations, and this space has just really AI capabilities have started emerging for the space, not out of science project kind of things. It's really out of necessity, born out of necessity with the complexity and dynamic nature of modern IT environments.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time for sure, and a challenging time. Talk about, the mission of the company, the genesis of the company, how you started. I guess we used to call it network monitoring back in the day. Pretty simple stuff, but it's evolved a lot from there.
Yeah, so back in the day, you had your monitoring tools. Monitoring's been around forever,
Mm,
but you mentioned network monitoring. That's for specific to networking systems. There is server monitoring and
mm,
database monitoring and storage monitoring, and basically for every type of component in an IT infrastructure, there were monitoring tools for those. Originally, they were typically sold by the vendors that created the systems, and then came along monitoring tools that were broader, that were developed by enterprise software companies, and attempting to monitor the different types of systems. About, I don't know, 10 years ago, this idea of full stack monitoring emerged, and this was one vendor being able to monitor any kind of system in an IT environment. And this has grown dramatically more complex as technologies have matured,
mm.
which of course, there's a maturation process over time, but the acceleration of maturity has really put most organizations in a bind with how they keep these systems running, first of all, and performant, but also all companies across all industries have basically been forced to digitize. They've all become technology companies, and so now their businesses are dependent on these technologies being performant and healthy. And this has put a significant amount of focus on tools that ensure that. And so, the typical scenario for most organizations is they still have a lot of old technologies, but they've been forced to embrace these new technologies. Some of them do it by choice. Some of them do it they have no choice. But so most modern infrastructures are a mass conglomeration of old things and new things, and being able to again ensure the health and performance of those systems is incredibly complex. And so, what Xenos has endeavored to do started out as a network and server monitoring, pretty simple tool that has evolved over time. And what has really taken hold is this notion of IT service monitoring.
Mm.
So if you imagine an application, it can be any application, just pick one that is easy to visualize, that's mission critical. It could be a mobile banking app, it could be a shopping cart, it could be anything depending on what industry you're in and what your business is. That application that's being delivered to the end user, whoever the end user is, there is a system of supporting technologies delivering that application. And we've talked about servers and network systems and storage systems, but you also have things like load balancers. You've got hyper
Mm,
converged infrastructure. You've got containers and microservices. There are thousands of things that could be supporting a single application. And so the idea of monitoring an IT service is monitoring that thing top to bottom, from the
mm.
application all the way down to the dozens or hundreds or thousands of things, components that could be supporting that application. And so that's this idea of service centric IT monitoring or full stack monitoring.
Yeah, thanks for the definitions. Were super helpful. Anyone who's worked in an enterprise or even a small business owner feels, as a user, the impact of IT and cloud services disruptions. I'm always going on Down Detector to look at different services that are down, which is really kind of sad, the sad reality these days. So how do you deal, or how do you help deal with those kind of disruptions and minimize those, given these, very complex multi-cloud environments?
Yeah. So again, in the old days, you could walk into your data
Hmm.
center and you could find the system that had a red light blinking. And when things were pretty static, you knew that this, whatever application was on this server or, leveraging this networking system, et cetera. It's just no longer the case.
Hmm.
It started way back in the day with server virtualization, but in a modern environment, not only is it complex, it's incredibly dynamic. And so it really has gotten to a point where it's impossible for human beings to just know when something is going wrong, what is the root cause of that problem. And so, in 2018, that's when Xenos began building out AIOps capabilities. And what that really does is it this combined with the idea of service centric monitoring, it enables customers to leverage artificial intelligence to be able to do a series of things. It's kind of a four-step maturity model. The first thing is, when something's going wrong, how do I pinpoint what the problem is? How do I get to the root cause? And again, this has become incredibly difficult. Uh, but that's the number one thing. When something's broken, how do I find the thing that is the root cause of that? Once they become proficient at that, the next step is, how do I prevent these problems from happening in the first place? How do I never have disruptions to my application? So it's getting predictive, and this is where the AI capabilities come into play, being predictive so that customers can remediate issues before they actually disrupt any business services. Then the third step in the maturity model is, how do I optimize all of my systems? And when things were on prem, it's less of a concern. It's still a concern, but less of a concern. In the cloud, though, you're paying for everything that you're using. So you don't want maximum performance. You want the exact right amount of performance. And so once customers get past the how do I root cause problems, how do I prevent problems, the next thing is, how do I optimize everything that the performance of all parts of my infrastructure. And then the last part is, and this is the kind of pinnacle, how do I automate everything that can be automated? And that includes remediating problems, but it also includes this idea of optimization, of sharing with other ITOM systems. And so automation is another key capability that used to be nice to have. It's no longer nice to have. This companies are not able to survive if they're not starting to automate.
Yeah, I would agree. Fantastically interesting here. You have a lot of customers, pretty diverse. Any favorite success stories or anecdotes around helping different tech companies, different brands?
Yeah, I mean, We help companies across all industries,
Mm,
and really it's the more complex their IT environments are, the more they need this kind of a
mm,
solution. But to give examples, we're very strong in financial services and healthcare, and these are two areas where, again, I said earlier that most companies have been forced to digitize, so it's important across all industries, but especially in financial services and healthcare. The cost of having systems down can not only cost millions or billions of dollars, but in healthcare there are lives at stake.
mm,
And so we have, I'll highlight a couple of healthcare use cases. Some of our customers, they use Xenos to monitor systems, for example, um, that are sort of a process of housing, of storing and using vaccines.
mm,
Vaccines have to be kept at a certain temperature, they have to be
mm.
transported in a certain way. And so Xenos is monitoring systems that enable the healthcare customers to ensure that the vaccines have not only been treated in an appropriate way, but there's an audit trail for that as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Another example in healthcare is we have customers that use Xenos monitoring for the infant monitoring systems.
Mm.
When babies are born in a hospital, it is a top priority, obviously, to ensure that not only the babies don't get mixed up, but that nobody is able to remove a baby from the nursery. And so there are sophisticated systems in place that help them ensure that doesn't happen. Xenos is monitoring those systems to ensure that they're healthy and performant.
Fantastic. Well done there. Um, there's so many different approaches to monitoring and management. You mentioned vendors have baked in solutions, and there's different open source frameworks. And you've had a lot of success here. What sets you apart from all those different IT operations management solutions out there, including the homegrown ones that we see a lot of?
It really is the ability to monitor IT services, and
Mm,
so there are a couple of uh, considerations with that. The first one is, in order to understand the health and performance of an IT service, you have to be able to monitor all of the things that constitute that IT service. So the number one thing that is, it's not glamorous, but most companies are not good at this. Most vendors are
mm,
not good at this. Is being able to monitor all of the systems and understand when those individual components are healthy and
mm,
performant. Uh, you have to be good at data collection. It's just a very simple thing, but that's the kind of table stakes that most vendors are not good at. They're either focused on servers or networking, like we discussed,
mm,
or what's more common these days is vendors come out and they're focused on monitoring cloud instances.
mm,
But most IT services, for most medium and large organizations, it's not just a simple cloud instance. There are things that commonly
mm,
span not only cloud to on-prem, where you've got systems on-prem and in the cloud, but across multiple clouds. And so most monitoring tools are not good at having that kind of breadth of data collection. The second part of it is, this is the Xeno secret sauce. It is the ability to pull what we call model data. We are not only monitoring, is what's the server CPU doing, what's the memory like in this network router, etc. We're pulling model data that tells us definitively. We're not inferring it. We understand definitively how these systems are connected to each other and dependent upon each other. That is how you build out the IT service mapping. And so I think that's what's unique, and it's impossible to effectively monitor your critical systems if you're not able to do that. If you're not able to say, in order for this application to be healthy and performant, these things, again, it could be dozens or hundreds or thousands, all have to be performant. Or if this disk is having a problem in this storage array, predictively, what applications could be affected by that? And so I think that's when most organizations say, yes, we have to have monitoring in place, they're typically thinking, let me monitor all the servers to make sure that everything's going fine there. And it's a set you know, um, of static metrics that they know they're monitoring. It is the ability to infer from the performance of any given component how that might affect the entire IT service and ultimately the application that's being delivered. And that's what I think is unique and something that customers are now educated on, and now they understand that these isolated views from different monitoring tools are not the most effective way to do this. And I'm sorry, this is a long answer, but there's one part of this that comes up repeatedly with customers, that
Mm.
the typical scenario is when something goes wrong, let's get all the different teams in a room. Let's get the networking team in a room. Let's get the server team and the storage team, et cetera, et cetera. And in that endeavor, they are seeking the mean time to innocence, which is, it's not my stuff, it's somebody else's stuff. And so this is a common troubleshooting scenario that is completely unacceptable in modern times. And so every organization that does that recognizes that we need a more holistic view of these IT services that are being delivered.
Wow, fascinating approach. So you must get approached all the time by different potential clients. Do they come to you when they have a problem, outage problems, availability, reliability problems, or how do you tend to work with new customers?
Yeah, I mean, you've got two categories
Mhm.
of prospects. They're not customers of Xenos yet, but the most common one is there's a pants on fire emergency. And typically that has happened already. There
Mm,
was a measurable impact to their business. They've sorted out the problem, and now somebody said, I want to make sure this never happens again. That's the most common scenario. However, to give credit to the people in the other category, there are plenty of forward thinkers out there that
mm,
already understand. It's almost like in a cybersecurity mindset, most cybersecurity experts are not saying, can something happen? Is it
mm.
possible? They're saying, when will it happen? And when it
Mm.
happens, what do I do about it? The IT operations folks are coming around to that mindset as well. They know that if they're not staying ahead of the curve, that you simply can't have the modern infrastructure and just hope that it runs smoothly all the time. And so they're proactive. This second group, they're proactive. They understand what is required to ensure the maximum health and performance, and they're the ones that are leading. These are the companies that were ahead to begin with as companies started digitizing, and now the INO leaders are becoming of the same mindset.
Wow, interesting insights there. So with a new customer, how long does it take to deploy a system and get it up and running, given all the integrations that you have to do, and how hard is that? What kind of deployment is typical?
I mean, obviously, it depends on
Hmm.
the environment, but this can be deployed in a day. Customers
Oh,
can
wow.
start getting results in a day. The more they want to tune it,
Hmm.
the more integrations they want to do. That can go into days. But customers who deploy this, even for a proof of concept, we enable anyone to come in and say, I just want to try it out. That can be
Oh,
deployed in a
wow.
day, and they can understand the power of it.
That's phenomenal. I had no idea. And so what's next? What's on your roadmap in terms of, you must have quite a lot of feature functionality requirements, of course, lots of AI capabilities. What can you share as far as futures?
So I almost hate talking about AI just because it's so, the AI
Mhm.
washing that's going on out there. But there are real problems being solved with real AI solutions. It's probably not as glamorous as some make it out to be, but simply dealing with the amount of data, the unstructured data, the nuances in every single different IT environment, it it can't be done without artificial intelligence. And so what we're already doing is what I described, which is helping to build out these dynamic IT service models that show exactly in real time,
Mm.
how services are being delivered, um, and helping to root cause problems associated with those IT services. But going forward, we're also looking at uh, not looking at we're building solutions to deal with other kind of tangential areas like cloud cost management or capacity
Oh, wow.
planning, and even security use cases. These I painted them sort of as separate uh, discrete buckets earlier. There's security and there's infrastructure and operations. These things continue to, that Venn diagram continues to collapse into a single circle. And so these leveraging AI for these other use cases is another part of it. We also have customers who are quite sophisticated with artificial intelligence. Some are looking for a black box, deliver me
Mm.
an AI thing that I can plug into my environment, and there are real benefits to that. There are other customers who have teams of data scientists. They understand AI. They're quite savvy. For those kinds of customers, there's this idea of explainable AI. They want you to say, I don't just care. I not only care about what that decision is that you arrived at. I want to understand how the algorithms arrived at that decision. And so explainable AI has become a thing. And then, again, for the savvy customers, they understand the different algorithms and the purposes for those algorithms. And sometimes they want to plug in their own algorithms, or they simply want to do a comparison. If we throw these three algorithms at the same problem, which one produces the best results? And so there's this idea of a menu of algorithms, or even tacking on to the idea of BYOD in the past. There's bring your own algorithm, so
Mm.
customers can plug in their own. And then on top of that, the other mindset that we have is we're collecting all of this data, which is extremely difficult. But once you have the data, you can not only solve problems for infrastructure and operations teams, but you can solve problems for other parts of the business. And the easy use cases that are adjacent are compliance and risk management. But you can also start leveraging the same data to help in other parts of a business, including sales and marketing, uh, and basically any part of a company's business. Um, so those are the key areas that we're looking at right now.
Wow. Well, so exciting. So much on your plate as well. What are you looking forward to the rest of the year into early new year? Any business travel left? Or are you finished for the year?
There was a Gartner infrastructure
Ah,
and operations event in Vegas this week. So
okay.
we just returned from that. No more big events coming up, but they start up again in the spring with, I think Google has moved their event into the spring, and you've got other, large trade shows. But for us, we're just heads down on development and making sure that we finish out the year strong.
All right. Well, well done, and congratulations to all the success. So much opportunity out there for you. Very exciting. Thanks very much, Trent, and thanks everyone for watching.
Evan, it was a pleasure, and I echo that. Thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.